Every single one of us, all 8 billion people on this planet today, can trace our story back to one place. It is a story that began not in a palace or a city, but on the vast, sun-drenched plains of Africa. Imagine this. Every breath you take connects you to a chain of ancestors stretching back millions of years. Every step you walk echoes the first tentative steps of our earliest relatives. These were not yet humans as we know them. They were something new, something brave, standing up on 2 feet to face a world of giants. Their journey is our journey. It all began here, in the heart of this magnificent continent. This is not a tale of kings and queens, but of survival against all odds. Our story starts with a whisper, a faint signal from the distant past. It's a story written in bone, in stone, and in the very earth itself. We must listen carefully to hear it. For millions of years, the African continent was a crucible, forging new forms of life in its fiery heat and sudden downpours. It was a world of immense danger and incredible opportunity. Here, in the Great Rift Valley, the ground itself was tearing apart, creating the perfect stage for the first act of the human drama. The stage was set for the most extraordinary story of all. We will journey back to a time long before recorded history, a time when the roars of saber-toothed cats filled the night air. We will witness the moment a distant ancestor first picked up a stone and shaped it into a tool. This single, simple act would change the destiny of our world forever. It was the dawn of ingenuity, the first spark of the creativity that defines us today. We will walk alongside these early hominins, feel the coarse grass under their feet, and see the world through their curious eyes. It is a world both alien and strangely familiar, a world that holds the key to understanding who we are. This journey into our deepest past is more than just a history lesson. It is an exploration of our very essence. It reveals the incredible resilience, the profound curiosity, and the deep social bonds that allowed our ancestors to not only survive, but to thrive. They faced challenges we can barely imagine, yet they endured. They passed their knowledge down through generations, a fragile inheritance that eventually led to us. As we peel back the layers of time, we must ask ourselves, what was the critical spark that set our lineage on this unique path? Let us travel back 3 million years into the past. The Africa we see is not the one we know today. Great forests, dense and humid, are beginning to retreat. In their place, vast grasslands are spreading like a golden sea, dotted with acacia trees. The air hums with a different sound. It is thick with the buzzing of insects and the calls of strange, unfamiliar birds. Volcanoes, young and active, scar the horizon. Their plumes of ash drift across the sky, occasionally blanketing the land and preserving the secrets of this ancient world for us to find millions of years later. This is a land of dramatic change, a world in motion. Listen. The sounds of this prehistoric savanna are a symphony of life and death. The deep, guttural roar of a Dinophilis, a false saber-tooth, echoes across the plains. It is a sound of pure power, a warning to all smaller creatures. Herds of three-toed horses called Hipparion thunder across the landscape, their hooves kicking up clouds of red dust. Giant elephants with enormous straight tusks tear branches from the trees. In the rivers, crocodiles of immense size lie in wait, their eyes just above the water's surface. This is a world of titans, a place where our small bipedal ancestors were not the hunters, but the hunted. The very texture of this world is different. The sun is relentless, beating down on the open plains. The heat shimmers above the ground, distorting the shapes of distant animals. The grasses are tall and coarse, sharp against the skin. To survive here, one must be constantly aware. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every rustle in the grass could signal danger. The wind carries scents that are vital for survival. The smell of a nearby waterhole, the scent of rain on the dusty earth, or the terrifying odor of a predator upwind. It is a world experienced through all the senses, a place of constant, heightened alert. Life is a daily struggle for survival. Resources are scarce and scattered. Finding food, water, and safe shelter is a full-time occupation. The seasons are extreme, swinging from torrential rains that turn the plains into a muddy swamp, to long, brutal droughts that parch the land and wither the vegetation. Every day presents a new challenge, a new test of endurance and wit. In this unforgiving environment, a new kind of creature is learning to adapt and innovate. How could our small, vulnerable ancestors possibly find their footing in such a dangerous and demanding world? Look there, at the edge of the woodland. A small group emerges into the open. They are not apes, and they are not yet human. They are Australopithecus afarensis. The famous fossil, Lucy, belonged to this species. They are small, perhaps only 4 feet tall. Their bodies are a curious mix of the old and the new. They have long arms and curved fingers, perfect for climbing trees to escape danger or find a safe place to sleep. Yet, their legs and pelvis are strikingly different. They are built for walking upright, on 2 feet. This is a monumental shift in our evolutionary story. Their faces are also a blend of features. They have a low, sloping forehead and a pronounced ape-like jaw. Their brains are small, not much larger than a modern chimpanzee's. But look into their eyes. There is an intelligence there, a curiosity. They live in small family groups, relying on each other for protection and support. They communicate through a complex series of gestures, body language, and vocalizations. We can see a mother comforting her young, and males keeping a watchful eye on the horizon for any sign of danger. These social bonds are the glue that holds their fragile society together. Their daily life is a constant search for food. They are primarily vegetarians, foraging for fruits, nuts, seeds, and roots. Their powerful jaws and large molar teeth are well suited for grinding down tough plant material. We can see them digging in the earth with their bare hands, or using a simple stick to unearth nutritious tubers. Occasionally, they might scavenge the remains of a kill left behind by a large predator, a risky but rewarding source of protein. Every calorie is precious, every meal a hard-won victory in the battle for existence. They are resourceful and highly adaptable. As dusk begins to fall, the group becomes anxious. The savanna is most dangerous at night. They must find shelter before the nocturnal predators begin their hunt. They move together, a small, vulnerable band, towards a familiar clump of trees. The young cling tightly to their mothers. Watching them, we see the beginnings of family, of community, of the deep-seated need for connection that still defines us today. They are taking the first hesitant steps on a long road. But what pressures, what sudden environmental changes would push these creatures to become even more innovative? In 1978, the paleontologist Mary Leakey made a discovery that was simply breathtaking. It was not a bone, nor a skull. It was something far more immediate, far more personal. In Laetoli, Tanzania, preserved in a layer of volcanic ash that fell 3.6 million years ago, she found footprints. Not the prints of a long-extinct animal, but the footprints of our own ancestors. A trail of prints made by 3 individuals of the species Australopithecus afarensis, walking side by side. For a moment, the immense gulf of time disappears. We are there, watching them pass. The ash from a nearby volcano had fallen like a soft blanket of snow. A gentle rain then turned it into a fine mud, like wet cement. As our ancestors walked across this surface, they left behind perfect impressions of their feet. Another fall of ash then sealed the prints, preserving them for millions of years. The trail tells an incredible story. It shows 2 individuals walking together, with a third, smaller individual walking behind, carefully stepping in the footprints of the larger one. Perhaps it was a family, a male, a female, and a child, moving across the landscape. These are not the footprints of an ape. They show a clear arch and a big toe that is in line with the other toes, not splayed out to the side for grasping. This is the hallmark of a creature that walks upright as its primary mode of transportation. We can see the way their weight transferred from the heel to the ball of the foot, and then pushed off with the big toe. It is a stride that is unmistakably, hauntingly human. In these simple tracks in the mud, we have indisputable proof that our ancestors were walking on 2 legs, freeing their hands for other tasks, long before their brains began to expand. To stand before these footprints is a profoundly moving experience. It is a direct connection to our distant family. You can almost feel the soft squelch of the mud under their feet. You can imagine them looking over their shoulders, wary of the rumbling volcano that created this very record of their existence. The trail continues for about 27 meters and then disappears. Where were they going? What were they thinking? These simple footprints, a fleeting moment frozen in time, leave us with a deep and tantalizing mystery. Time moves on. The climate continues to change. Africa becomes drier, and the competition for resources grows more intense. Around 2.5 million years ago, a new character enters our story. A creature with a slightly larger brain and a more delicate face than Australopithecus. We call them Homo habilis, the handyman. This name is significant, for they are the first of our ancestors that we can confidently say made and used stone tools. This was not just a small step, it was a quantum leap. It marks the very beginning of technology. Imagine the scene. A Homo habilis sits by a riverbed, carefully selecting a smooth, fist-sized cobblestone. With another stone, a hammerstone, they strike the first one with precision and skill. A sharp-edged flake of rock breaks off. It may seem simple to us, but this is a moment of pure genius. This sharp flake is a revolutionary tool. It can be used to slice through the thick hide of a dead animal, to butcher meat from the bone, or to cut open tough plant stems. For the first time, our ancestors have a cutting edge that is not part of their own bodies. These tools, which we call Oldowan tools after the Olduvai Gorge where they were first discovered, opened up a whole new world of food. Homo habilis was likely a master scavenger. With their stone flakes, they could quickly cut away meat and marrow from carcasses left by large predators. This access to a rich new source of protein and fat was crucial. It provided the energy needed to fuel a larger, more complex brain. The hand and the brain began to evolve together. A more skillful hand allowed for better tools, and a growing brain allowed for more complex planning and problem solving. This new technology was a guarded secret, a skill passed down from one generation to the next through observation and learning. We can picture a young Homo habilis watching an elder intently, learning the correct angle and force needed to strike the stone. This is the dawn of culture, the transmission of knowledge. These simple stones are the first letters in the alphabet of human ingenuity. They represent a new way of thinking, a new way of solving the problems of survival. But how did this new ability to shape their world lead to the next great chapter in our story? About 2 million years ago, a new and formidable human ancestor strode onto the African stage. This was Homo erectus, the upright man. And, well, they were different. They were taller, with longer legs and shorter arms, their bodies much more like our own. Their proportions were those of a creature born to walk and run long distances. They were the first of our relatives to fully leave the trees behind and commit to a life on the ground. Their brains were significantly larger than those of Homo habilis, actually approaching the lower range of modern humans. This was a new kind of human, full of potential. Homo erectus was a far more sophisticated toolmaker. They created beautiful and symmetrical hand axes, which we call Acheulean tools. These were not just simple flakes, they were multi-purpose implements, carefully shaped on both sides to create a sharp, teardrop-shaped tool. A hand axe could be used for butchering large animals, for digging up roots, for stripping bark from trees, and perhaps even as a projectile. To make one requires planning, foresight, and a clear mental template of the final product. It shows a significant leap in cognitive ability. And then they harnessed fire. This is perhaps the single most important innovation after toolmaking. They were ready for an epic journey. What would they do with this newfound power? For millions of years, the story of human evolution was confined entirely to the African continent. But with Homo erectus, everything changed. Armed with their advanced tools, their social cooperation, and their control of fire, they were equipped to face new challenges and new environments. Sometime around 1.8 million years ago, small bands of these intrepid explorers began to venture beyond the borders of their ancestral homeland. This was the first great human migration, a slow but relentless expansion across the globe. It was a journey into the unknown of incredible bravery. They did not set out with a map or a destination. They simply followed the herds of animals they hunted. They followed the rivers that provided water and a path through unfamiliar lands. They moved from one valley to the next, generation by generation. Over thousands of years, they spread north into the Middle East, then east across Asia, reaching as far as modern-day China and Indonesia. They also moved west into Europe. For the first time, a human ancestor had left Africa and begun to colonize the world. Each new environment presented new problems that required new solutions. This expansion is a testament to their incredible adaptability. They learned to survive in cold northern winters, developing new hunting strategies and likely creating simple clothing from animal hides. They learned to hunt different animals and gather different plants. The fossils and tools of Homo erectus, found across Eurasia, tell a story of remarkable resilience. They were the ultimate pioneers, the first true global citizens of the human family. They proved that the ingenuity forged in Africa could be applied anywhere on Earth. This great migration set the stage for the next phase of human evolution. The scattered populations of Homo erectus, separated by vast distances,
began to evolve in different ways, adapting to their local environments. In Europe, they would eventually give rise to the Neanderthals. In Asia, other distinct groups emerged. And back in Africa, the ancestral population continued to evolve. This dispersal across the planet created a whole new, complex chapter in our story.
But what happened to the Homo erectus populations left behind in the African cradle? While Homo erectus and their descendants populated Eurasia, the grand narrative of our own species, Homo sapiens, continued to unfold back in Africa. The latest fossil and genetic evidence points to the fact that modern humans evolved in Africa around 300,000 years ago. For thousands of generations, we too lived solely on this continent, honing our skills, developing even more complex tools, and creating the first symbolic art. The African continent was not just the cradle of humanity, it was the crucible of our own species. Then, sometime between 100,000 and 70,000 years ago, a small group of Homo sapiens embarked on their own journey out of Africa. This was the second Great Migration, but this time it was different. These were modern humans, just like us, with the same creative potential and complex language. As they spread across the world, they met the descendants of the first migration, such as the Neanderthals in Europe and the Denisovans in Asia. The story of these encounters is still being pieced together, written in the faint traces of ancient DNA found in our own genes. The proof of this shared African origin is not just in the fossil record, it is inside every one of us. Genetic studies have shown that all non-African people in the world today can trace their ancestry back to that single, small group of migrants who left Africa. The genetic diversity among people within Africa is greater than the diversity in the rest of the world combined. This is a clear signature of an ancestral homeland, the place where our species spent the vast majority of its evolutionary history before a few pioneers set out to explore the rest of the planet. Our journey through time has brought us from the first tentative steps of Australopithecus to the global expansion of our own species. It is a story of incredible perseverance, of innovation born from necessity, and of the deep, unbreakable connection we all share to this one continent. Every human face, in every corner of the world, tells a part of this African story. Our shared heritage is a powerful reminder that we are all one family with a common origin. But as we look back on this immense journey, what future chapters of the human story are we writing today? Our exploration of Africa's ancient past has revealed a story more epic and dramatic than any fiction. We have walked with our earliest ancestors on the savannah, felt the sharp edge of the first stone tool, and warmed ourselves by the glow of the first controlled fire. We have seen how a small, vulnerable primate, against all odds, rose to become the dominant species on the planet. This journey from the African plains to the far corners of the globe is the greatest story of survival and innovation ever told. It is your story, my story, our story. The journey is far from over. Paleontologists and geneticists are making new discoveries every year, adding new pages to our family album. Each fossil fragment, each ancient tool, each snippet of DNA provides another clue, another piece of the puzzle. The earth beneath our feet still holds countless secrets, waiting to be unearthed. The story of human evolution is constantly being revised and refined, becoming richer and more complex with every new find. The adventure of discovery continues, and you can be a part of it. This deep history is not just about the past, It informs our present and can guide our future. It teaches us about our resilience, our capacity for cooperation, and our incredible creativity. It reminds us of our profound connection to the natural world and to each other. Understanding where we came from is essential to understanding who we are and where we are going. The echoes of our ancient African ancestors are all around us, in our art, our technology, and our societies. Their legacy is our inheritance. We have only scratched the surface of this magnificent story. There are still so many questions to answer, so many mysteries to solve. I invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to our channel to explore more incredible stories from the natural world and our own deep past. Share this story with others and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What part of this journey amazed you the most? The unwritten chapter of the human story is ours to discover together. What will we find next?